Good morning, guys. It's October 13, 2022. Market had been open for 10 minutes, and I'm just sitting on the sideline just because we got a news and the SPY is still heading lower. We did see that move from 360 all the way to 348 at the pre-market. So I'm just waiting until SPY decides what it wants to do. But right now, just no trades yet, just sitting on the sideline. So my thought process is I would like to do see any reversal. You don't want to catch a falling knife at this time. So it will be better to just sit on the sideline, wait, and see what the market will do based from the news, and we'll go from there. So this is the current stock that I'm looking at. But basically I am just scanning at this time.
Okay, so for today, I only traded one ticker symbol and it's AMD. Since we had a news where the CPI inflation rate continued to cool in September, but less than expected, core consumer prices, which exclude food and energy, rose at the fastest annual rate since 1982. Stocks opened in a steep dive following the CPI inflation report, which is what we saw in the pre-market. But the Dow Jones turned positive by late morning, and this is what I've been trading off of. The 10-year Treasury yield jumped above 4% as the data reinforced Fed rate hike expectations, but then slashed those gains. So my thought process is, since we have that news and it already had moved the overall market to the low side, then those who were short will take some profit. So what I did with AMD, I took a couple of stabs here. First is that third and that actually fourth candlestick on that 5-minute chart. I entered long there, got stop out, and then here I got the second stop out. So with that, I only got a realized profit of 352. And the thing is, the thesis is still valid. I know I keep getting stop out, but when the thesis is still valid, the stock is still very strong. I will re-enter it again with a very tight stop loss. And there's a pros and cons of having a tight stop loss. Of course, it will get you stop out easily, but it's also have been protecting my profit. So for this one is I got the third stop out here. So now the only realized is about 244. Now since I have a buffer of around 244, and since I keep looking at the SPY is still heading higher, and I saw that this AMD have touched that 9 EMA in the 2-minute chart, and once it touched that 9 EMA, it had formed that hammer and started forming that hammer in the 5 minutes candlestick. So when I saw that, and the tape as well as the level 2 is very bullish, I re-entered there with a tight stop loss again, and at this point I have a buffer of around 244, meaning if this stock get me stop out, then the most amount that I will lose is a little bit over 244 or around 300, which is gonna be if I already have a realize of 244 and I'll lose around 300, then my total loss will be just around 50. So it's worth having this strategy, just because if you have made a buffer, then you wouldn't be having that risk of having a red day, a big red day, just because you are now playing based on what you already have a realized profit of. And at this point, My stop loss is still at that level of that loss of the previous candlestick, and just the shares of like 1300 with an average cost of around 55.90. I did put a line there, and I have started looking at the higher time frame. At this time, I have put into that 15-minute time frame just so I get to see whether this trade will work on my favor versus will it get me step out again. I have been looking at different stocks as well, but I'm pretty much interested with AMD just because it is being influenced by the stock. It is under manufacturing as well as it is under manufacturing sector, one of those semiconductors that have been so beaten up for a couple of weeks, months now, and those short sellers are getting squeezed at this movement as well. That's why we get to see that parabolic move to the upside. So imagine those people who have shorted this one at the pre-market now are covering, and at the same time those people who have been trying to short AMD for the longest time is now being short squeezed. So that can be one of the reasons why we get to see that squeeze right there. And with just span of, we're already just 10:09, so a little over like 40 minutes into the market open, and this one have already moved parabolically. So for this trade, what I did was fast forward my trading day for the day just to save some time. At this point, I re-entered and added to my position just because that hammer starting to form at the 2-minute, and as soon as it tried to go lower at that price, buyer starts to step in, as you can see in that 2 minutes candlestick where you started to form that hammer. So there is a resistance line there, which is at the 15-minute chart, that 9 EMA. So I started to take some partial there. My strategy here was to couple of entry, had at least 3 stop out, and once it worked in my favor, I take partials, and after taking partials on a pullback, I add to my long position. So partialing and adding to a pullback, and at this time moving my stop loss just so I don't turn this one into a losing trade. So my average cost is way down there with the stop loss that is way up there. So even if it get me step out, I'm still gonna be profitable with this trade.
So just looking at what the SPY is doing, SPY is still having that big reversal. So together with it, the rest of those beaten down stocks are trending higher. That's why I only focus on one stock today, and that's AMD. I did a couple of ads here and there, add here, taking some partial as well on the way up. Little bit of a pullback. There's a resistance there, that 9 EMA in 15 minutes. We did see that parabolic move already, so a little bit of a pullback is expected. But my stop loss is 55.72. My entry is at 56.27. Making sure that I don't turn this one into a losing trade. So I keep looking at the SPY. SPY still have that gap fill right there. So the next resistance line here might be S3. And we might end up green on this trade or green on this stock today. It's down by 1.4. It was all the way down at the open 54, now at 56. So we did see that parabolic move here, moving my stop loss above that profit takers right here. Almost got me stop out, and yeah, just got me stop out there. Now since AMD is a bit extended, I would like to add, but with that big of a candlestick, it is expected to bounce back, so the probability here of it going down is higher, so I'm not going to enter AMD. I was looking at JetBlue earlier, but it already moved 2%. This is one of the stock that had been beaten down significantly as well. Okay, so I will call it a day. I'm done trading. By this time, the market will just gonna be on the sideways, and I just traded AMD, one and done trade. I did took a couple of studs here, add here and there, and to begin off, let's look at what the SPY had been doing. So at the open, well, let's begin with the pre-market. The SPY had this gap down at the pre-market. We did have that news, and from the pre-market it went from 361 all the way to 348. Now of course, they're not just gonna let the whole overall market just sunk down that quickly. That's why my thought process is we are expecting even just a little bit of a bounce. The thing that I was looking at is SPY is at all-time low. It opened here at 348. The last time we were on that price was way back in, let's see here, way back from November of 2021. So about a year ago we are on that price range. So having that into consideration, that SPY is just not gonna tank all the way at the open. Of course, with this massive downward move, then we expect a bit of a rally or a bit of a bounce, and that's what I did today. So instead of playing SPY is 350, around 355 per share, I went to trade AMD. AMD has that trades like a SPY. It's semiconductor, it's actually manufacturing, and its float is 1.6 billion. It's been on that all-time low as well. What I like about AMD is that for the previous 3 days it had been on that consolidation. So with that consolidation and it opened all the way down, then my strategy is a gap fill, and sure enough it had that gap fill all the way to VWAP. So with that, what I did was at the open, let's just go to a lower time frame here so we can see it clearly. So at the open we did see that massive sell off, continuation together with a SPY, that it went all the way down, and then of course it's just cannot just go like parabolically low if it already moved from 57.9 all the way to 55.09. There would be profit takers here. All those who were short here will cover their positions here. At the same time, those investors who's been waiting at the sideline will take that opportunity to buy this share of stock in logical price level. So to turn off the pre-market data, what I did was, considering that there was a sell-off there, I did try to entered this one long when I saw the reversal here. Now the perfect entry would have been at this when we saw the candlestick and it had been respecting that VWAP. Perfect entry would have been right here, 55.18. I came in late, so when I saw this one that had massively moved together with the SPY, I entered a bit late right here at that break of the body of this previous candlestick right here. Also the break of this or previous candlestick, the wick right there, and entered at 55.53. The stop loss right here is going to be below the VWAP just because this is a big candlestick. So entered here, partial a little there, and then when I entered, I partial and then got stop out. Now thesis is still valid, so I re-entered, I partialed, and then kind of added to my position and then got stop out as well. So I re-entered again, re-entered, and then added to my position, some partial there. So while partialing, I'm also adding. So I add here, and then I partialed. I add again because I saw that there is that just a massive buyback of this, as we can see here in that hammer. So added to my position here, partial, added to my position, and then moving my stop loss above, and it did get me stop out. And that's the reason why it's so important to put in that stop loss, just because look at, if we did not put that stop loss here, it have massively move already. And at this stop loss here, if that stop loss had been which I was filled and if that price goes lower than this, then we can see a reversal, and that's the reason why I put that stop loss right there, which is at S4. So now we see the reversal there, and this one is tanking down as well with the SPY. So the SPY has that reversal there, so it could have been those who were short here were just taking some profit here, and we can go lower again at for the remaining hours or today. The volume here is not a lot, so that can be just profit takers. So for today, I got just with trading AMD 1300, and I only am gonna trade AMD. I am done trading for the day. So I hope you had a green trading day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.